Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at Bandai's Great Mazinger SD Cross Silhouette model. And the why it's called the SD Cross Silhouette is actually because you get a choice of the build between the SD and the CS. And the CS I believe stands for Cross Silhouette. But the SD model actually has slightly shortened proportions for the arms and legs, while the CS model actually has slightly extended arms and legs. And I actually like the CS mode better just because proportion wise feels a little bit better as a miniature, versus the SD I feels like the model is a little bit squatty. So once we take a look inside, we're going to find multiple bags full of the parts, and they're I think stacked about two kind of runners at a time. And each one is actually segmented. So if you look here, it's going to say B, and then this one here is going to say E2, and then the backside is actually D. And so if you look at the manual here, it's actually really nice because it shows you each step of the way. But you're going to see here the first part's going to say like D8 and then E211. And what that refers to is the letter refers to the sheet or the runner, and then the part number is going to be on there. So if you look here, this is D8, that's right here in this location. And you're going to see that that matches up with this here. And I'm actually going to remove all the parts from the bag, and we're going to get started right now. Before we begin with the actual model making, I actually wanted to show this kind of how I set up my model build for any gunpla or mini-pla models. And so this is actually a rack that's used to store pliers, but I'm actually using it as a runner rack. And so I know there are certain racks that you can buy for gunpla models, but those are kind of expensive. The ones I found on Amazon were about $40, and it really does the same job. And so I actually bought this for $11 on Amazon. And when I'm not using it for gunpla models or mini-pla models, I actually use it to store my tools for when I'm building like metal earth or other stuff. So it can actually be, you can actually use it for different uses, and it's not just a single use item. So the manual will show two different methods of building this, and there's going to be the CS model versus the SD model. And so I'm actually building the CS mode just because I actually like the proportions of the model better than the SD that, like I said, looks a little bit squatty. And also it's because the CS mode uses more parts, so there's not a lot of extra parts that you have just kind of floating around. So I'm just going to try to use as much as the pieces as I can. So I'm going to show you how I remove the parts, and there's very different ways of how people do this. I'm just lazy, so I do it the easy way. So I'm using a wire snipper, and I found my part, which is F2 10. So the part number is 10. And so I'm actually going to use a very sharp wire snipper, and I'm actually going to get very close between the part and the runner as possible, and then just kind of do a very slight snip, and then I'm just going to remove the part from the runner. So a lot of people actually remove part of the runner that's still attached to the part, and then they actually go back with the wire snipper and remove the runner, and that actually helps reduce some of the streak marks that you're going to get, which is kind of a white kind of marking that you're going to get left on the model. But what I actually just do is just kind of use X-Acto knife and just kind of remove any of the kind of pieces that are still kind of sticking out and try to clean it up as much as possible. If I was working on a more expensive model or something that's more detailed, I might do the runner method of cutting the runner, but it's actually a lot of double work. And with these kind of smaller models, I just kind of like just the joy of building it, that I'm just kind of doing it very, very simply. And a lot of times what I actually like doing is I actually like taking out all the parts up to a certain point on the manual. So in this case, I'm getting all the parts for the head, so that I'm just going to be putting the head together in all one try, instead of removing a part and then attaching it and then removing another part. It just kind of helps speeds up the process a lot. For the eyes, it actually requires putting on these two stickers here, and what I like using is a very, very thin kind of forceps or kind of a tweezer. And I actually like using the tweezer because I can actually get really close, and it's actually easier to remove the sticker because of the pointy edge, and I have a little bit more precision with the tweezer. And so, you know, I'm just gonna start pushing it in little by little, and then actually flatten it out usually with my fingers. And sometimes I'll use some other tools to kind of round out the edges or kind of press it in a little bit more. But in this case, it's very simple that I'm just kind of using my fingers. this model is actually a very simple model, so there's not much more to comment here. So I'm just gonna kind of leave the video running, and I'll try to comment if there's any other portions where I kind of need to clarify anything. But other than that, please enjoy the rest of the video. now what I'm going to do is actually take apart the model to show you how to convert it to the SD mode. And so you have to kind of change out the faceplate. And then I'm actually going to remove the joints for the arms and the legs. And then I'm actually going to remove the kind of middle section here. That's like the elbow and also the knee. And then you're just going to directly insert it in so it gets a little bit shorter. And then once you do that, it should become the SD mode from the CS mode. And here is the SD mode all completed. And like I said earlier, I actually do prefer the CS mode more than the SD mode. And so I'm just going to keep it as a CS mode. And here are some final images of the model. If you enjoyed watching this video, please hit that like button and also hit subscribe if you want to actually see more videos like this when I post them in the future. Thank you for watching.